we're David and Tracy Sellars.
And like you, we have made vows
to keep.
Today we're taking off in a new direction, heading down a road looking at powerful pursuit. Now, all of us have had a pretty long stretch together at home.
Yep.
Sometimes with our kids working from home together on their schoolwork.
Under the same roof, a lot.
It's been an interesting season.
Definitely. We are sharing like the kitchen table as a desk a lot of times. Now, a lot of things have remained the same, even though there have been a lot of things that have been different. Like when I see you, like we're still hugging and kissing, and like I still say I love you many times a day. We're having a lot of intentional time with our kids, which that's not really a whole lot different. We play a lot of games with them and just have a lot of meaningful conversations. But I think in some ways may have shifted a little bit more toward like the coworker that I just say hi to in the, as we're getting ready for work in the morning. Like, hey, what's your plans for today? And just kind of making sure like our schedules line up. But I think we're sort of missing the heart of one another in this.
Yeah, we get to where we're kind of going through the motions, right?
Yes.
We're not at odds, but
No.
Things are a little flat.
It's a good way to put it.
And this season has been limiting. We can't go on some of the kinds of dates that we would normally go on. And, well, I guess I have to point out one time, though, where I was really super inspired. And you will remember this as I tell it to you, because I was so excited to be preparing a date night at our house. Now, to pull this date night off, I actually engaged our kids a little bit, and I was like, listen, kids, I need your help. We're going to be sweeping out the garage. We're going to be cleaning out the car. And I come out and I set our TV on the hood of our car. You remember this night?
Yes.
So I text my wife and I was like, listen, want to go on a date?
And of course, I knew nothing about the garage situation. I thought he was taking me out, so I did. I put on a nice white dress and I think this jean jacket, and I had a purse over the shoulder because I was ready to go wherever we were going.
So then I had made dinner, and which I think you maybe thought was like for the kids, but it was actually for all of us.
I did.
I put on my suit coat, and then at the end of it, we walked out and got in the car. And as we were walking outside, you were very moved for the fact that we were going to have a drive-in movie theater in our garage.
I felt moved because I knew that it had taken you some time and planning and thought, and there was a lot of love that went into that. So even though we didn't go anywhere, I didn't even care about that. All I cared about was that I felt really pursued by you.
So this sounds really rosy, doesn't it? Except when I point out this little timeline glitch to our story.
It's a little bit of a glitch.
That date night was in March. Boy, by about September, we were fighting that roommate mode. And maybe you listening to us today can relate to this. Webster's dictionary defines pursuit as the action of following someone. And for some of us, we hear that concept of pursuit and we think, listen, I have been watching my spouse, and quite frankly, I don't like everything I see. In fact, I'm a little dissatisfied with a few things right now. And the way that I want to set up for an analogy comes from driving to school with my kids. We're following this semi-truck who is literally wandering all over the road.
This is just today, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, couldn't keep the truck in their own lane hardly. And so, of course, I just followed, right? I am someone who's going the same direction as this semi-truck. We're on the same road. We're doing the same basic things. But too often in our marriage, we're someone who's kind of limited our responsibility to someone who is simply an observer. Someone who's just taking it all in. Now, contrast this to what I hoped was going to happen, which was, there'd be some highway patrolman on the side of the road who would take this all in and be like, I'm pulling that person over, sirens blaring, right? That's what I was hoping was going to happen. And I think that how many of us inside of our marriages see ourselves as the highway patrolman too. Someone who's there to say, listen, you are offending me and you need to change. And now.
And our sirens are the way that we sigh and the way that we express our dissatisfaction with the way our spouse is behaving. Like, I see you're about to cause a wreck, it's gonna hurt me, so I'm pulling you over.
So this too, I have to say, well, it's not the kind of pursuit we're talking about in marriage. The kind of pursuit we're talking about today is more like the ambulance driver. This is someone who also observes where things are going off the rails, right? Where there's disaster about to strike, or maybe has struck already. But they are there not to enforce their rules. They're there to rescue. They're there to aid. When there's a disaster, they aggressively go wherever this person has gone. Where we need to turn, just like our spouse has turned, taking all of the same routes to show them that they're not alone. And not to enable them to do the wrong thing, but to provide aid and to rescue wherever they are.
I'm going to flip that just a little bit by saying two things. Number one, we work with a lot of couples who we see in this position. We see making the kind of decision, we're going to talk about this a little bit later on, that pursues no matter what. And there's some powerful examples coming up in this broadcast. But number two, I actually was in this position, literally and figuratively, when David was in an ambulance about 5 years ago, almost exactly to the day. He had a really terrible accident, and I wasn't able to be in the ambulance with him. So I'm the one that's following. And you can just bet your bottom dollar that I'm going to turn wherever that ambulance turns, because I'm not going to lose him as we're headed from one hospital to the next. It's the middle of the night. I don't know exactly where we're going. I'm going to be in hot pursuit of this man, to be there to aid him in any way that I can.
Pursuing means that we're chasing after, we're following, or maybe it's better thought of like hunting, right? It's having a very specific goal in mind, and then being very intent to make sure that you get there. I'm reminded of when I used to race stock cars, right? If there was someone in front of me, they were going down, right? It was no matter what I had to do to get around them. For people I know that work in sales, right? When they're going to close the big contract, they are focused. What this means is that I am exerting energy as the pursuer in hopes of closing and achieving whatever it is that I desire.
And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in today's broadcast as we go forward in this series, Powerful Pursuit. Who are we pursuing? What are we pursuing? How does it happen? What gets in our way? When do we do it? How do we even know it's the right time to pursue? And the most important question, why? Why are we pursuing? We want you to tune into this whole broadcast, so find us on all the major podcast networks, or you can click the link at the top of the screen or go straight to our website, VowsToKeep.com.